Worldies and travelers, how are we all doing? I love you all so much for your love, your support, your comments, your likes, and your reactions. Today we got a good one. This one is from Run Mango, and it says, Killer breaks down crying after 8-year-old victim is found alive. Case of Jennifer Schuett. Now, this is a good one. Let's get it. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Around the World with Steven. Welcome if you're new, and if you're returning, I appreciate you. You'd be wondering why I say this is a good one. What I mean by that is the victim is found alive. Now, that was an 8-year-old victim. It takes my mind to the most hated man in Korea, who also had an 8-year-old victim. And that is the saddest part of it. These stupid perpetrators actually target kids, which is so bad. But in this case, the killer breaks down crime because the victim was found alive. I can't wait to see how this happened. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Please do so we get into the algorithm and join our Discord. We're discussing about having a watchathon, having nice, fun movies, watching it over a period of time. All of us chiming in, chipping in, laughing, reacting together, so you don't get to see me just react. All right, so join our Discord. Link is in the description. Love you all. Now let's find out who that stupid killer is and who the victim is.
Bada bing, bada boom.
We're talking about Dennis Bradford. Dennis Bradford had been keeping a secret for the past 20 years. That's a very long time. Like, not a single person knew his deep, dark secret that he has been just holding inside of him. He made...
Bro, that was 20 years? For 20 years. Which means if it is the story of the 8-year-old victim, the victim would have been 28 years. Unless it's a different story she's talking about. That is crazy. Oh my goodness.
Sure that nobody knew, nobody found out. His life depended on it. His ex-wife, his current wife, his children, his legally adopted children, none of them knew what he did 20 years ago. The only person that knew his secret, they died with the secret 20 years ago. And that was his only comfort. That was the only reason he could sleep at night. That was the only thing that kept him going. But almost 20 years to the day that he had his big secret, he was pulled over for this routine stop. And somehow Dennis found himself in this interrogation room for a routine traffic stop. So things are going down. He's being asked about that dark day from 20 years ago and what happened. And, you know, he's being asked all these things that make him feel like someone out there knows his secret. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why would they suddenly ask him these questions about a day from 20 years ago? Maybe the detectives read his mind because they looked at him and they let him know. Hey, you know 20 years ago? You know that little 8-year-old girl that you left in a field completely naked? The one that you tortured and then slit her throat from ear to ear? That girl? The only one that knows what you did? Well, she's alive. And she's been hunting you down every single day for the past 20 years. She was the one that caught him. This was his reaction.
If you were to see her, I think you would be extremely proud of her. I really do. Oh, thank you. She's alive. Yes, she's alive. She's alive.
So stupid, man. You see? No. I can't be a detective. I can't be a detective. You know why? Because when I see this reaction, punches, blows, kicks, spits, everything will be coming from left, right, center to his stupid face. Look, I can't. You unalive somebody, you heard they're alive, and you're crying, trying to link it to the fact that she's alive. No, you crying because you have been caught. I can't be a detective. There's a job for everyone. I just can't be a detective and watch this man's idiotic face. No, I can't. My goodness, man. Really? Really? Oh my gosh. He never 20 years, bro. Whoa.
So let's talk about the incredible survivor story of Jennifer Schuett and Dennis Bradford's
Oh my
dark
gosh.
secrets, because he would have more than just this one secret that he's hiding. Now, as always, full show notes are available at rottenminglepodcast.com. But with that being said, let's get into the story. There were a group of kids that were gathered to play at the field. It was like the best type of field to play in. Do you remember playing in fields? No? Yes? You've never played in a field before? Okay.
School field.
Oh, no. This one's a bit different. Okay, so there is like a calculation on what the best type of field is. And when you're a kid, I used to love fields with long grass.
What?
I don't know. It's so much better than an empty flat field because you feel like you can hide better and it's just more of an adventure. You feel like you're in the jungle even though you're not.
Serious?
You're in like the suburbs. But I used to love like thin, kind of almost ticklish as you're running through it. It feels like an adventure. So that's what these girls are doing. They're probably between the ages of 6 and 10 years old. So, they're pretty young. And they would all huddle around in a little center of the field and they decide who's it. They're like, you're it this time. You're going to be the one chasing all of us. And then all of them would just make a run for it. They would just web out into these different directions and just carelessly run through the field. They would turn their head back recklessly every so often just to see if that person is close to catching them. So they're screaming, shouting, giggling. They're not being quiet, but most importantly, they're being very, very carefree. They're kids. They're acting like kids. It's a beautiful thing. Now, one of the young girls was running so fast she could feel her hair just blowing in the wind and the grass was tickling her all through her sides. And she's looking back and she's laughing because she's getting ahead. And boom, she falls face first onto the ground. She had tripped on something. I guess due to the overgrown grass, she didn't see it earlier, but she turns to her left or her right to see what she tripped on. Maybe it's a giant tree branch, a discarded tire, who knows, a log. She looks down and sees that she had tripped on another girl.
Oh.
The foot of a naked 8-year-old girl who had her throat slit ear to ear, who had been left for dead. I mean, she was practically on her last breath.
Bro, a child found her? Another child found her by tripping on her. Whoa, bro, no. This is, man, oh my, I don't know what to say. What?
God.
I mean, it's pretty disturbing to think about while these kids were playing. Jennifer, a child who's not that far in age from them, was barely holding on to life in that same field. I mean, she had been there for over 14 hours, paralyzed, in shock, losing blood, actively dying. And Jennifer had tried to move, for the past 14 hours, she tried to move. She tried to sit up or at least crane her neck to see where she was. But all she felt was stinging all over her body. She was frozen. She couldn't even roll over. It's like her body was still unconscious and her mind-body connection had been obliterated. She's trying her best to figure out where she is, but all she could do was move her eyes back and forth and scan the area. Even though she tried to scream, nothing came out. It's like one of those nightmares where you want to scream, nothing's pushing out, you feel this strange sensation. So Jennifer is able to force her right hand to her neck, to her throat, and it feels so weird.
Yeah.
There was something thick and wet on her neck, and suddenly she felt pain. She lifts her hand in the air, and she sees blood, like a whole lot of blood. Jennifer's arm went cold. I mean, it collapsed. She went cold again. I mean, all over her body, there was just wounds, tiny wounds everywhere.
Bro, okay, let's, bro, stop. Look. If this happened to adults, it's going to be traumatizing. It's going to be very traumatic. Like, it's going to be mind-numbingly sick. 8-year-old child, bro. 8-year-old child, after enduring all that, is still alive, gets up to, oh my goodness. And imagine how the parents will be feeling. I bet they're outside looking for her, calling family members if their child stopped by, asking neighbors where their child is. And look at the traumatic thing happening to that 8-year-old. Jennifer Schuett, you are a hero. You are a hero for surviving that. And how I wish every victim like that could have survived. Man, oh man.
You know where she had been left in the field? Someone had discarded her on top of a fire ant hill.
Oh my goodness.
She was completely unclothed. There were hundreds and thousands of fire ants biting every single surface of her body that they could find. Jennifer had been tortured, assaulted, her throat had been slit, and left for dead on a fire ant hill. So Jennifer gets rushed to the hospital where police officers, doctors, nurses, her mother, everyone is telling her she's safe now. Everything's going to be okay now. And it wouldn't be for a while that they discovered that whoever did this, the monster that did this to her, was also a patient in that same hospital.
What
the same time that she was there. Oh yeah. It gets really crazy.
Wait, was that discovered after 20 years or that was discovered at that time? Jennifer was rushed to the hospital. Or was it that after she was rushed, they had already discharged that patient? I do not understand it. Then why wasn't he arrested at that time? This is crazy.
So let's start from the beginning. Jennifer says, when you're a kid, you think there are monsters in your closet. But when you become an adult, you realize the monsters are outside your window. And I think most adults out there do everything they can to protect these innocent little children for as long as they can. But sometimes these monsters find a way, no matter how much you try to keep them out, they find a way in. That's probably one of the scariest things about becoming a parent, just protecting your children from the scary world. So Elaine, Jennifer's mom, was very nervous when she found out she was pregnant. It would just be her. She was going to be a single mom. It's a total mix of emotions. She's frightened, hesitant, excited, but also very, very lost. But once baby Jennifer was born, the two of them were like this. Okay, they're inseparable. I know it sounds like a cliche. Okay, I know it sounds like one of those, she lit up the rooms. But I'm telling you, the two of them had this incredible bond. Think Gilmore Girls. It's just the two of them in this scary world. They only have each other. Most people said they were more like best friends than they were mom and daughter. They kind of had this perfect life going for them. They rented this ground floor apartment in a nice area in Texas, Dickinson. And it's a small town. It's basically known for faith family football, one of those towns. And at this point in time, Jennifer was on summer break. She just finished second grade. And even though she's excited that she's on break, she's also very excited to go back to the third grade. Jennifer said that she loved life. She loved school. She loved all of her school friends. She loved learning. This was the best time in her life. She was so carefree. She loved hanging out with all of her friends, but more importantly, she liked hanging out with her mom. So naturally, Jennifer liked to sleep in her mom's room. And she's 8, okay? She's got her own room. And her room is great. It's decorated all cute. But she just really likes sleeping with her mom, I think. When you're a kid, there is no other comfortable feeling than sleeping with your parents in the same bed as them. I feel like I don't remember a single time that I felt more at peace than at those ages. When you're just sleeping with your parents because you can just turn your brain off. It's just the ultimate comfort. So one summer...
Yeah, it looks like Jennifer from every description seemed like a very normal child, a very normal, bubbly, happy child, carefree. And that's how we are all, we were as kids, carefree. You see, everything is pointing out to the fact that she was from a loving home. She had parents that loved her. And a parent or parents or a parent that loved her. And she was carefree, bubbly, wouldn't even think like that. So for that monster, what the hell, man?
Evening, August 10th, 1990, Jennifer and her mom are settled in her mom's bed. Elaine had work the next day because, there's no summer break when you're an adult and you get a job. Shocking. So she tells Jennifer, we got to sleep early. I got to wake up early for work. And then we've got some childcare coming for you. But it's a whole thing. So they tell each other good night, turn off the light, and both of them start drifting off. And then boom, Elaine jerks awake. And another boom. Jennifer is fast asleep and is kicking her. I mean, she's probably sprawled out on this bed like a starfish at this point. Elaine is getting bullied off of her own bed by her 8-year-old daughter, and she's got no room to sleep. She's trying to push Jennifer to the side, but Jennifer's not budging. So she gently wakes up Jennifer. Sweetie, I'm so sorry, but you're kicking me in your sleep and I've got work in the morning. Would you mind going to your own room tonight? Jennifer wakes up and says, because I love you, Mom, I will. I'll go to my own room.
Oh my goodness.
So she grabs her little pillow, and this is the exact conversation. She rolls out of her mom's bed and walks into her room, which her room has this twin bed next to the window, which is probably why Jennifer's mom didn't go to Jennifer's room herself. It's a small, like a kid bed, a twin bed. She's got a nightstand beside that with a globe on top of it. And it just looked like your average cute 8-year-old's room. So typically, if Jennifer sleeps in her own room, Elaine will go over there, tuck her into bed, read her a bedtime story. They do their I love yous, check under the bed for monsters, check in the closet for monsters, then finally turn off the light, and then Elaine would leave the room. But technically, they already did all of that. And since Jennifer was already sleepy, everyone just assumed that she would just go into her room and fall asleep again.
And it is normal. I mean, hindsight is 2020. Like in hindsight, we'll all be like, "Hey, Mom, you should have walked her to her room and checked for all these things." But let's just be practical for a moment. If your child is sleeping beside you, you're tired as hell. You want to go to bed so you can wake up in the morning refreshed for work. Sometimes like you go through your brain, oh, there's nothing wrong there, go sleep. That is it. If I say anything bad about the mom right now, it's gonna be from hindsight, but I'm trying to picture the whole thing like in current, like as it was going on. I think the mom was tired, was like, go to your room, thought the room was safe. That is serious, man.
When Jennifer opens the door to her room, it's so dark. So she starts getting a little freaked out, okay? She flicks on the little light bulb lamp that she has, which sounds like just a light bulb, but it was actually a light bulb shaped lamp that had a light bulb inside. Yeah. So she liked to keep the light on because, she's 8 and monsters are scared of the light. So her version of monsters at this point are furry bears with claws. Like, think Monsters, Inc. She's not thinking people outside, people inside. She's thinking Monsters, Inc. She flicks on the light and she decides, I can't fall asleep right now, so I'm just going to go through my bedtime routine by myself. I'm going to pick a book from my shelf and start reading it in bed, and hopefully I'll fall asleep. That was the whole plan. She starts reading to fall asleep, and although the lamp was still on and bright, Jennifer drifts off into sleep in no time. She's like knocked out. Now, a couple of things to note. Her shades were not drawn, or they were not closed.
Oh.
So there was no curtain or shades or blinders that were blocking her window. Her light is on, and her window was open a crack to let in that nice summer Texas breeze. Jennifer had a nightmare. Or at least it felt like she was having a nightmare, okay? One where she was getting tossed around like a doll, and she opened her eyes expecting to be in bed still, but she looked up to see her body being moved by a man that she did not recognize. He was carrying her. He had one hand over her mouth and her nose, and he's booking it down the sidewalk. He's running full speed while she's being bopped around in his arms, and she's trying to hit him to make him stop and let go, but she's 8. This is a full-grown man. Jennifer was barely 4 feet. She weighed under 50 pounds. Yeah, this man overpowered her in every single physical aspect. But I think that's where some people underestimate children, okay? Jennifer was very, very sharp. Even while she was being smothered by this giant hand, she wanted to stay alert. So she's looking around and she thinks to herself, 2 doors, blue yucky paint.
Wow.
That was the car that this man threw her into.
Wow.
Locks the car doors, and within seconds, they were already on the road. He forces Jennifer to sit on his lap, and he had one hand on the wheel and another hand on her head to yank her head down anytime another car passed them. Jennifer was so terrified. She's just analyzing the situation, trying to find a way out, when finally the man speaks. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Shut the hell up. He took her from home The safest place you can even imagine anybody being, your own home, locked doors and everything. That is where he snuck in and took her. How scary is that? Oh my goodness. The window was opened a crack. And during that time where she said goodnight to her mom, walked to her house, there was already a creepy monster, an idiot, a man full of rat's turd, already lurking. That is scary. That is seriously scary. What does this teach us? No matter how tired we are, we should make sure of our safety and our loved ones' safety. And I'm saying this all out of hindsight. And this is something I'm going to put in my head. If I have kids in the future, if I ever have a kid, no matter what, I have to ensure their safety. And I'm not blaming her in any way or something like that. Of course, she could have done more by waking up and walking her to the room, but she was tired. That is crazy.
Undercover police officer. A police officer? Jennifer felt a little bit better because at the time, this is in the 90s, 1990. Most parents, most teachers tell their children, if you get lost and can't find your parents, what do? You find the police. I mean, there was ultimate trust in the police at the time. There was ultimate trust for the general public, for doctors, teachers. There was no concept of don't listen to these authority figures because they might not be good people. So Jennifer's confused. I mean, what is going on? I'm supposed to trust this guy. I want to believe him, but there is just something so off about him. He doesn't feel like a police officer. So she tells him, well, can I see your gun and badge then? I don't have my gun or badge with me right now. What? Jennifer was confused, but she looks up, and right at that moment, she sees that they're driving past her grandparents' house. So Elaine's parents' house, they live nearby. And she's eagerly telling him, oh, that's my grandparents, you should drop me off here. You need to drop me off because they can help me. If you're a police officer and you took me because I'm in danger, you need to drop me off with my grandparents. He didn't stop driving. And Jennifer realized if he was a police officer, surely he would have taken her to a trusted family member's house, right? This is the moment that Jennifer started to believe that she was being kidnapped. But she didn't just panic. She was quick on her feet. She remembered looking at him and repeating in her head, glasses, mustache, yucky hair, scar on face.
Wow.
Suddenly, the car stops moving, and Jennifer pops her head up, and she sees that the stranger pulled into the parking lot of her elementary school. Did he know it was her school? Did he pull into the lot by chance? I don't know. But he tells her, and it's very strange, he tells her, look out the window at the moon. When the moon changes colors, your mom will meet us here to pick you up. Mind you, Jennifer has never seen the colors of the moon change before, so what is he even saying? She tries to stay hopeful, though, and she stares out the window, just waiting for the headlights to approach. But they never approach. I mean, it felt like an eternity that she's waiting for her mom. Later, it's suspected that he was using this time to psych himself up for what he was about to do next. He kept offering her to eat some candy, but Jennifer knew better. She's like, no way, absolutely not. A stranger giving me candy? Nope. And she starts trying to think of a way out because it was clear to her that there's no headlights coming. Her mom's not coming. This man's not a police officer. And even if he was, that would have been scarier. She realized she was in extreme, serious danger. He starts driving the car again, and he goes down this gravel road while he tells her, well, your mom's not coming. Jennifer's trying to self-soothe because while this is happening, she has no idea what's going on. She doesn't even know what this man would want with an 8-year-old little girl. She tries not to panic, and she makes it her mission to just remember everything. She remembers seeing cigarettes, Marlboros, the red and gold ones, empty beer cans, bottles. She remembers all of this. And then finally, the car turns off, and the man pulls her out into this overgrown field with tall grass. He lunges for her throat and holds a knife up to it. Am I scaring you, little girl? Am I scaring you? She said he dropped the knife and started choking her over and over and over again. She was...
Bro, just like that. You go get somebody from their home just to bring them to an overgrown field and start choking them. Just like that. And you're telling me as a detective, I'm sitting across from this guy crying and I'm just watching it. Some people are just like, some people are bold. They're caught for their job. I'm not. Because at the end of the day, like, you start crying in front of me, you're going to meet the same fate as what you tried doing to the 8-year-old right there. I'd end up being in jail or something. You serious? And kudos to the 8-year-old. Think about it. Being in a situation as scary as that, but then still having the cognitive function to memorize everything. 2-door blue yucky paint, the car. Glasses, yucky hair, scar on face. Marlboro cigarettes, the red and gold one. That is an 8-year-old in a distressing situation. Even as adults, sometimes in distressing situations, you listen to some 911 calls and they're panicking to even describe what is happening. That is an 8-year-old. Kudos to Jennifer Schuett. Oh my goodness, you got the wrong 8-year-old. And guess what? I hope to God you have the DP. I can't even say it on YouTube. Like, you are sent that thing above life in prison. Yes, unalive this guy.
Completely blacked out, and when she came to, he would choke her again and she would black out, and it felt like he was trying to kill her. It didn't even feel like he was just trying to strangle her, but he was full on trying to snap her neck. That's how she felt.
My gosh,
She
an
lost
8-year-old.
consciousness again, and during these times we later find out that she was brutally assaulted. And the next thing that she felt was her body being dragged through the field by her ankles. She was barely able to stay awake at this point, let alone even fight back or even move or talk. She felt him drop her legs and walk off. He had already slit her throat at this point.
Jeez.
His car door slammed and he drove off, just leaving her in the field for dead. Any time that she woke up and tried to figure out what the hell was going on, she would fade out into unconsciousness again. She said, I would come in and out of consciousness, and every time I would come to, I would just be in disbelief that I hadn't died yet. Now, before she knew it, the sun was rising, and it's the next day already. Jennifer could feel all of these little stings and nips all over her little body, and she felt these things crawling and biting her, and she tries screaming for help. But that's when she discovers that big gaping wound, basically a hole in her neck. Her hand was covered in blood. Anytime she tried to hold her neck together, whether from shock or pain or from loss of blood, she would just drift back into darkness. This kept happening all day long. So that's what she was doing all night long, into the morning, then all day long, until early evening rolls around. And this time, she could hear passing cars on the road. She tried to turn her head to see if she could make out these cars, but all she saw was them driving past in the distance. She can't move, she can't scream. And at this point, she said she just felt exhausted. Just tired. She felt like she had been fighting for so long.
Jeez.
It's been at least 14 hours since the man dragged her into the field, completely naked on top of a fire ant hill, beaten, bitten, and her neck slit. I mean, she just wanted rest. Jennifer said she felt this kind of peace in this moment, like a wave of peace. She wasn't afraid anymore. She didn't care about the cars that were driving past anymore. She didn't care to try and move or scream. She didn't even care that there was nearby voices in the field. She just felt very peaceful. At just 8 years old, Jennifer was dying. And she closed her eyes one last time, thinking it would surely be the last time. I imagine she thought about her mom or her friends from school, or I don't know. But speaking of her friends from school, it felt like she could hear them right now. Or at least she could hear people right now, like young little kids playing in the field. And those voices started coming closer and closer to Jennifer, and she could make out the sound of a young girl giggling and running through the field, laughing with her friends. These weren't Jennifer's friends, but they were all very close in age. That little girl ran, giggling, not a care in the world, until she tripped over Jennifer's limp foot.
Wow, that is crazy.
That is really crazy. So, man, the only saving grace that came from Jennifer is kids playing around where she was and tripping on her foot. If none of the kids played around where she was and decided to hide elsewhere, or the kid running where Jennifer was laying had stepped maybe a foot away from her and hadn't tripped, that was it for her. Or maybe somebody else would have found it, but that could have been it. That is insane. And this guy just took her from home just to unalive her. And what I'm thinking is, for all the true crime cases we've gone through, true crime cases you know about, through true crime cases you've watched, you've seen, Stephanie Sue's reported on, other people report on, those who were found deceased probably were not deceased for a few hours where they were found, but had no saving grace. And that is very, very scary. That is extremely sad. I'm so happy that Jennifer was found. This is an extremely low probable case, or low probable thing that happened. It's almost a miracle that that kid ran and slipped over the foot. And guess what? Another kid could have ran, slipped over the foot, and I could have kept quiet for months before telling their parents, oh, you know what? There was one time I slipped on a foot, and she would have been gone.
Jennifer remembers the girl's little voice turning into multiple voices that become louder and louder, and it felt like there was a whole commotion over her. She tried to wake up, and all she could see was a police officer, which was probably traumatizing. But this one was in uniform, and they told her, you've been found, you're going to be okay. Stay with us. Just please stay with us. Sharon McBride is a pediatric ICU nurse. She clocked in for her night shift and she starts reviewing her patient's charts, and her heart drops. She was assigned to a room with an 8-year-old girl, which is the same age as her own daughter, which is always hard for Sharon. But the alarming part about this was that there was a police escort stationed in front of this 8-year-old girl's room. That could only mean two things when police and pediatrics are involved. It's either child abuse or juvenile offender. Sharon asks around and she gets filled in on what happened and decides it is her mission for however long it takes to make sure that Jennifer heals and gets out of this hospital stronger than before. The doctors and nurses informed Sharon that Jennifer was airlifted to the hospital via a helicopter, and everyone thought that she was going to die. Her chance of survival was slim to none, practically non-existent. Her skin was completely pale, drained of all color and blood. Her body was covered in ant bites. I mean, every single surface area of her body was bitten by fire ants.
Jeez.
She had contusions that indicated that she had been beaten. And of course, doctors speculated SA because she was found unclothed in a field with intense scratches on her back. Jennifer was in and out of consciousness, and the only part of her body that she could control at the time were her eyes. She couldn't move. She couldn't speak. She has these piercing blue eyes that are beautiful, and she's staring at the doctors. She's so scared. I mean, the whites of her eyes were bloodshot to the point of being a thick, opaque color. So think just red and blue in her eye. And this is so heart-wrenching. But the doctors noticed that anytime a male doctor or a male nurse or any male staffer would come anywhere near, her eyes would widen and panic.
That is why I keep saying on this channel, that the more people or judges or what the law pardons perpetrators, it is so inexcusably brutal. It is so wicked, because you put a victim in lifetime of trauma. In this case, she's scared of male figures. Her trust is broken. God even helps her if she's able to even fall in love later down the line when she's old, get married and have kids on her own. You've put the kid in a traumatizing situation. So if you look at some of the cases in South Korea, other cases that the perpetrators are released, it's mind-numbingly stupid to me, because you are punishing the victim further.
Reaffirming their belief that something horrendous had happened before she was left for dead. Her mom wasn't allowed in the room because they're performing life-saving treatments and they can't risk a parent intervening. So they need to focus all their attention on saving Jennifer. The hospital decides female doctors and nurses would be taking the lead when Jennifer is conscious, and they would be reassuring her that she was safe and nobody was going to hurt her. She's rushed into the OR and Jennifer was put to sleep once more. And they called this ENT specialist. So ENT, eyes, nose, throat, right? Or ears, nose, throat. And because Jennifer's trachea had been slashed in half. That's why
Jeez.
she couldn't scream. I mean, it was a genuine miracle that this laceration on her neck missed all of the major blood vessels. If the knife had gone any deeper or had cut any wider, it would have resulted in practically instant death in that field because all the vital blood vessels in that neck, she would have bled out instantly.
Wow.
So, yeah, the doctors work to ensure her airway is intact and that the bleeding has stopped. But it's not a day to celebrate. Like, it's not a good day. Every single medical professional in that OR knew that Jennifer would never be able to speak again. The trauma to her throat was so extensive, it slashed her voice box. Her vocal cords were slashed in half. There was just no way. So being caught up to speed, Sharon was adamant that she was going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Jennifer feels safe, Nurse Sharon. She's not going to allow anyone to re-traumatize this young girl. Sharon would slip into the room and watch Jennifer even when she slept. And she just could feel all these tears threatening to come out because all she can think about is her daughter at home. Like, who is doing this to someone this young? Sharon was a seasoned nurse, though. Whenever she was scared or emotional, she never let it show. She said standing there looking at Jennifer, the fact that this little 8-year-old girl had suffered something like this, horrendous trauma, my heart aches for her. What on earth was her life going to be like now? How was this going to affect the rest of her life? So no matter what Jennifer was doing, Sharon was always in her room. Even if she was sleeping, even if she was eating, Sharon literally never left her side. Jennifer's mom was also allowed to be there now, and she was beside herself with grief and anger. She had woken up the next morning to get ready for work. She slowly opened Jennifer's door, expecting her to still be fast asleep. But instead, her bed was empty, Jennifer was nowhere to be seen, and the window was wide open. She called 911 and she had not stopped searching for Jennifer until she got the call that she was in the hospital. And now, just like Nurse Sharon, she's not going to leave Jennifer's side. Sharon quickly becomes one of the first few people that Jennifer trusted. So Jennifer later said that she was very difficult to deal with in the hospital. She said, I had a lot of male doctors. I was scared of men now. And side note, the man who assaulted her told her he was a police officer. And she said, I learned in school that police were good. The man that hurt me said he was a police officer, and he hurt me really, really bad. So in my eyes, who's to say that these doctors can be trusted? Like, at that point,
Right.
everyone was a suspect in my book. At one point, she even kicked one of the male doctors in the stomachs to get him away from her. And she was just in this constant state of fear and panic in the hospital, which is not good for your recovery. Now, just to clarify, in case I forgot to mention, Jennifer was able to move now after her operation. She was actually never paralyzed in a sense. It was just fear, pain, and trauma that prevented her from moving because her body went into ultimate survival mode. So she's like kicking these male doctors, which a lot of them were not offended. They just felt like it was good. It's improvement in her situation. It's her recovering. She's got strength. She's a fighter.
I'm glad they understood that because, bro, that is trauma response. She gave a trust to somebody who she thought was a police officer, somebody who lied to her and hurt her that bad. So if you're a male, God be with you. She's gonna kick you and kick you in the groin, and it's understandable. It's really understandable. She has to get well, and then has to, go through. I don't know if it's therapy. Bro, this is just sad, and that is an 8-year-old man. Tell me give me a good reason why this guy shouldn't be punished in the worst way possible. Just give me one good reason. And I'll give you a reason why you're a moron. That kid is traumatized. This guy has to be given the severest of punishment. Severest. And God help us if he's not hurt other kids that we don't know of.
Even just looking into the mirror, though, was traumatic for Jennifer. One of her uncles brought her this Tinkerbell makeup set as a gift. while she was in the hospital, and that's how she saw herself for the first time. She saw blood vessels were bursting in the whites of her eyes, and she just said she felt so ugly. That little girl that she saw in the mirror, she's like, I don't know who that girl is. That's not me. I mean, it must have been so alienating and disorienting for her. Like, her reflection was a literal stranger. So Jennifer's mom and Nurse Sharon, they would be pivotal in catching whoever did this to Jennifer. This is in Dickinson, Texas. Like I said, very small community. The police are like, we need to catch who did this to Jennifer before everybody starts freaking the fork out. And we don't have much to go off of. So right now, we've got Jennifer's pajamas that were found in the field.
Oh my
We've got
gosh.
a blue men's t-shirt and a pair of men's underwear that was also discarded nearby in the field where Jennifer was
What?
found. But at this point in time, I know you're like looking at me like, that's amazing. That's all you need. In this point in time, DNA evidence was not specific enough to ID a suspect with such a small sample. Like DNA back then, you would need like a blood sample. You would need like a,
Oh
a
yeah,
genuine
yeah,
sample.
yeah. Damn.
So these things, they would be kept in evidence, but there's nothing that can be tested that could tell them anything. So it's pertinent to the police that they catch whoever did this because there is a danger out there to children. The police also had no leads, no potential suspects, no witnesses. The only thing the police had was Jennifer, and there was a lot of concern about talking to Jennifer about what had happened to her. First of all, she's 8, and this could easily re-traumatize her. Second of all, adults alone have a very hard time remembering details, especially after traumatic events. How could they expect an 8-year-old to remember? And third, she was very scared of people right now, especially men, and this is a small town in Texas. Majority of the police force were men. And fourth, she couldn't speak or make noise, so she could just blink or once or twice to say yes or no, and she could either write on a sketch pad. But Jennifer, yes, she's smarter than I would ever be, even at just 8 years old, but she does have like the reading comprehension and the writing skills of a second grader, which is to be expected. So they come up with this system where the police would ask Jennifer's mom and Nurse Sharon all these questions that they want Jennifer to answer. They would go in with a sketch pad and Jennifer would write down her answers. Her ability to recall traumatic memories and the fact that she was so observant is out of this world. I mean, these would all lead to be key circumstantial evidence later that would help with the arrest. 8-year-old Jennifer Schuett not only survived her abduction, but she remembered almost every single detail about the man who climbed into her bedroom window and kidnapped her. And her notes would forever be known as Jennifer's notes. She wrote in detail about what she wore that night, that she was asleep when she was grabbed, that he told her to shut up, that he was white, he had glasses, brown hair, totally green tattoos, black mustache, in his 30s maybe. She even drew a little sketch to show where the scars on his face were, and at the very last page she wrote, he said his name was Dennis.
Wow.
So during this process, Sharon, the nurse, who was pivotal in helping Jennifer open up about these details, she was so impressed by Jennifer's memory, but also so devastated. She would say, "Thank you, Jennifer. That's really good. You did good." And then she would excuse herself, rush out of the room, down the hallway, into a break room. And when she was finally alone, she would lose it. I mean, she would just break down. After Jennifer's notes were completed, the authorities even brought in a female forensic artist. So she's like a composite sketch artist who's going to talk to Jennifer and start drawing the attacker. This was Jennifer's 4th day at the hospital. She's heavily medicated, in excruciating pain, reliving her trauma, but nevertheless, within an hour, they have their composite sketch of the suspect. It showed a...
Now, this makes me think. You see how Jennifer and the people around her were extracting information from her. They knew she was an 8-year-old. They knew she was traumatized beyond belief. They knew she had to recover, and they were taking their time with her, right? Taking their time with her. And that is why I got so mad at the most hated man in Korea when the little girl was in the hospital and those stupid detectives went over there screaming at her for her posture when she had a large size colostomy bag. You know why I was mad? Because of that. You see the difference in the contrast? And this hasn't got anything to do with this is in the US, no, this has everything to do with human character. The character of the detectives, the nurses here, were upstanding versus the character of the detectives and the nurses in Little Nyong's case. Sometimes we have to see victims as victims. Both were 8-year-olds. You see the differences, and that is how Jennifer was able to go back to her memory, relive everything. You're screaming at Nyong. What the hell do you expect her to give you? Shame on to those officers in the Lil Nyong case.
Man with dark hair, dark eyes, dark eyebrows, and a mustache and stubble all over his chin. He also had a scar on his face. They turn it into the police, and I think this is when Jennifer focuses all of her energy on just recovery now. Now, remember how the first responders said that there's no way she's going to survive? Well, she did. And
Wow.
remember how they said that she would never talk again?
She did?
What?
She
In the
did?
hospital, it all started with this tiny little noise, like a soft noise. And everyone just went quiet. Because they're like, is that coming from Jennifer? Slowly but surely, she started to talk.
Bro, with her vocal cords shattered? Because remember, her vocal cords were cut. It was the big blood vessels that missed that were not cut. Why she was alive, but her vocal cords were shattered, which means she couldn't have spoken. This is a miracle. This little kid who is an adult now is a miracle. Wow.
She had to relearn inflection and speech patterns, but all of it returned. I mean, her voice, her octaves, inflection, tone, all of it was restored. She was proof that the impossible was possible.
Yes.
Jennifer now
What?
jokes as an adult, and I haven't shut up since. But even though she's defying all these odds, okay, it's still very scary for her to go back to the normal world because her attacker is still out there somewhere. What if he comes back to finish the job? What if he comes back to make sure that she will never be able to talk about it again? Nobody would have blamed Jennifer if she wanted to move, if she never wanted to leave the house again, if she wanted to switch schools, move states. But she started 3rd grade at the same time all of her classmates did. Wow. Yeah.
So she
Are
went
you
straight back
serious?
from summer break
Wow.
to school. Mm-hmm. And they didn't move?
I think they moved apartments, but not towns.
Wow.
So Jennifer got closer and closer to how her life was, but the police are getting further and further from catching the attacker. Days turned into weeks, and you know how it goes. It was a cold case. Jennifer's an adult. She's no longer that 8-year-old girl. Which, side note, I know I'm making it out to be like, oh, Jennifer is so strong, which she is. Oh my gosh, she's so strong. But she also went through a lot. Like, this was not an easy road where she's like, okay, guys, I'm just going to go back to school now and be fine.
No.
She remembers being a child. She would lock herself into the bathroom for hours and just stare at the, quote, ugly long red scar on her neck. She felt like she did something to deserve this attack. She couldn't participate in PE classes anymore because of her airways. So she would have to go to the nurse's office and she would sit there while the rest of her friends played. She was scared of parking lots, of windows, of going to sleep, of the dark. She had anxiety, panic attacks, PTSD. Most nights, she would just sit up for hours at night just trying to calm herself to sleep.
And what did she do to deserve this? Nothing. Not a damn thing. She did nothing. So if you're a judge, if you're law enforcement, if you find pity on this guy, you are an idiot. I do not care. In my mind, there's no reforming that idiot, bro. That is an 8-year-old who could have passed. Are you serious right now? You're telling me that it's been 20 years, so have pity on him. Are you serious right now? Are you serious?
This is what an 8-year-old is going through while the case goes cold. The only news that she would hear periodically was that her case was being reassigned to a different officer. This is very bureaucratic. It's like a new officer comes in and they're like, oh, well, you get this case, and nothing really happens. And it's a pretty shitty and scary feeling knowing that the person who did this is still out there. But Jennifer, she's trying to move on. She starts working at a public library during college years. She had a really strong maternal instinct. Her title, everyone nicknamed her the children's librarian. Kids just gravitated towards her. They loved her.
Wow.
And she just wanted to have kids one day. That was her dream, to be a mom. So she falls in love with this man, Jonathan Martinez. The two
Oh,
of them get married.
man, she became a wonderful and a beautiful young woman. Look at her. And man, you are a lucky guy, to be honest, dating this very, very pretty, strong young lady. Yeah, man, Jennifer, kudos to you.
And Jonathan was like the man of her dreams, the one that she wanted to have children with and start a family with. He was
Right.
like the biggest cheerleader. He knew everything that she went through to be who she is now. She had to learn to be less afraid of the dark, to sleep alone again. She had to unlearn her deep-rooted fear of men, like even doctors and police and men in her life that she could trust. She had to unlearn that fear. Everywhere she went, grocery store, park, anywhere, she would constantly scan all the men's faces looking for any familiarity. She said, it could have been our new neighbor, or someone at the post office, someone at the grocery store. I never knew. Is he watching us? Is he going to come back and finish me off? I never knew. This is what she would have to go through every day for the rest of her life. But Jonathan was helping her through it. Even when she was diagnosed with hydrosalpinx, I think. At just 25 years old, he was right there with her. So if you're wondering what that is, it's a condition where your fallopian tubes are blocked and they're filled with fluid. She was told by her doctors that it was due to complications as a result of the SA when she was 8.
Oh my
And
goodness.
because they're blocked and filled with fluid, she may never be able to conceive any children.
Oh
The
man.
doctors told her, even with corrective surgery, your chances of becoming a mother naturally are slim to none. So this devastation just starts hitting again. Like she's finally moving on from everything that's happened, and boom, her life goal, her life dream to have a family has been shattered. Devastation doesn't even begin to describe how Jennifer
Jeez.
felt. The man who did this to her is walking free, and she is dealing with the consequences that he forced upon her. An infertility diagnosis alone is very, very traumatic for a lot of people. It's life-altering emotional news. But the fact that Jennifer's infertility was directly caused by the fact that she was SA'd at 8 years old, I can't even imagine the sheer amount of rage and anger I would have felt. Like, I don't even think I would be able to function from the hatred I would have for the world and for life. So while she's in the thick of these emotions from this diagnosis, she gets a phone call from a man named Tim Cromie. Tim Cromie was the new detective that was in charge of her case. It had been 18 years since her attack.
Oh,
18 years. I mean, she's all grown up now, and here was another officer taking a look at her case. There had been so many before him that took a look at her case, and what? Nothing happened. I mean, it was more painful to even convince herself that this one's going to be different. But there was something about Detective Cromie. He called Jennifer personally to let her know that he was taking over and he wanted to meet with her in person. It was the first time she was requested to talk to a police officer about her case. They met for the first time at the police station, and honestly, Jennifer was frustrated, she was upset, and she let it out. She thought to herself, here we are 18 years later, like, what is this guy gonna do? She met with him and she just starts bawling. She's breaking down and she's saying, it's not even about me anymore, okay? It's not even about what happened to me, because what's happened has happened, but that man could still be out there hurting kids. Like, you don't even know how many kids he could have hurt since he hurt me. It's been 18 years.
and that is legitimate. That is legitimate concern. Not just that, the pain in her of that guy having to do that to other kids or having done that to other kids is legitimate. And the fact that it's been 18 years and no detectives have been able to help, I'm not blaming the detectives. Maybe some came and focused on other cold cases and were able to solve other cold cases, which is good. I am just glad that there was a detective, Detective Tim, who was able to devote everything to her case and solved it. I am so happy of that fact. I'm very, very, very happy of that fact. I'm not going to diss the other detectives or slander them or anything. For all we know, some of them also may have solved other cold cases. So I'm just sad that it took 18 years. Well, when he was caught, it was 20 years. So it took 20 years.
I mean, it's likely I'm not the last or the only one. Detective Cromie sat and listened, and when he finally spoke, he said, Jennifer, I will do whatever I can in my power till
Yes.
the end of my career
Oh,
Get you the answers that you need for this case.
thank
Jennifer
you.
said, that simple sentence changed my life. For the first time since what happened, Jennifer had hoped that she might get justice. She told Detective Cromie, I want a trial. I want to help and I want a trial. I want to face this guy in court. She said, I want to be able to face the person that wanted to silence me and show them that I came out victorious.
Yes.
So she puts her trust in Detective Cromie, and he did not take that lightly, okay? He felt like he owed her answers. Now,
Yes.
it's 2009, 19 years since the attack, which in police investigations, we know that time is the enemy. Like, they barely have anything to go off of. Detective Cromie reaches out to the FBI to help with the investigation, and in 2009, this was the year for a lot of new tech. DNA testing had grown significantly. So the police sent the clothes off to Quantico for them to be tested for any sort of DNA that they could find. Now, side note, the police knew that there would be a long line for DNA testing done at Quantico. And their crime took place 19 years ago, so this case is not going to be a priority. But they had no idea how long it was going to take, truly. So DNA testing, it's a very lengthy process. It's not like this easy, I just put it in a machine and a computer screen pops up and it says, hey, we've got this DNA in our system. It takes a lot of people. The machines are not fast and quick, especially in 2009. To get results turned over is not easy. And not every police station or law enforcement agency has these machines, so most of them get sent to the FBI. So they've got every single DNA evidence from all these states coming in. They have to prioritize it.
Wow.
What's urgent? Who's in immediate danger? What needs to be solved today versus a case happened 19 years ago? It took a year. It took a year for them to get it back. Detective Cromie got a call at 2:30 in the morning. They had a match. Whoever did this was already in the system.
What?
Who was it? A man named Dennis. Remember that name?
Oh my
Dennis.
God, that's crazy.
Dennis Earl Bradford. The detective.
You stupid man, you are an idiot. Your face looks like a hippopotamus. You're an idiot. You a piece of rat's turd. You are stupid. I hate you from the bottom of my heart, and thank God you were found. Look at you. You're looking at me? You stupid piece of rat's turd. You idiot. Your nose looks like a fish tank. Like, you are the most stupid human being I have seen on earth. Thank God you got caught, you idiot. Stupid idiot. Man, somebody unalive this idiot, man.
Detectives went back to Jennifer's notes and they saw
Dennis.
the name was Dennis. They said it was monumental that this girl was that accurate. The detectives thought, well, we never heard of this guy though, but apparently he has a criminal record. They look him up, and Dennis Earl Bradford had been convicted of kidnapping and rape in 1997,
My
7 years after
gosh.
Jennifer's attack. But they noted that this happened in Arkansas. So as far as the police could track, Dennis had been living in Arkansas since at least 1991. So they called the driver's license bureau in Texas and they tried to figure out, okay, well, he was in 1991, he was in Arkansas. Maybe he was in Texas before then. So let's figure out if he was a resident of Texas before we hunt this guy down in Arkansas, because then we got to get multiple agencies involved, right? So they look him up in Texas records and there he was. They were even sent a picture of his Texas license ID picture from back when he was a Texas resident. Their jaw hit the floor. Remember the composite sketch? They said this was the most accurate composite sketch they had ever seen in their entire careers. It looked like the sketch artist had drawn the picture based off of Dennis's driver's license photo.
Wow.
Wow.
And the fact that an 8-year-old girl did this,
Wow.
Jennifer, you're a hero.
I mean, the details were spot on. It was insane.
What?
And when Dennis was in Texas, his residential address was in Dickinson around the time of the crime. Dickinson. In fact, from Jennifer's apartment window, you could probably see his residence. He only lived a few blocks away. So let's get this Dennis guy, okay? Who even is he? Let's backtrack a little and dig into who this guy is. And there's not much on his childhood out there, but he would have been 20 when he attacked Jennifer. Soon after, he moved from Texas to Arkansas, and we know that he got married at 21 years old to an 18-year-old Lisa, and they had 2 kids together, but the marriage would disintegrate. He was a bit of a binge drinker. It seemed like everyone saw Dennis's life and it was just falling apart. Dennis was not very good person. He was not a good person, yeah. What can I say? Even though they didn't even know his secrets, just wasn't a good person. They get
Not just not a very good person. He's an idiot. He's the world's evil idiot. Man, eat a dick, Dennis. You are stupid. You are the world's stupid piece of shit. You are, man, you are every bad word this world has ever formed. That is you, Dennis. You stupid Dennis. You are a piece of rat's turd. How about that for a description of this stupid idiot?
divorced, and in 1996, he's at a local bar when he spots a girl across from the bar and offers to buy her a drink. She politely declines, but he keeps asking for all these things. Just one drink. Just play around. She finally just agrees to get him off of her back, and he proceeds to buy her drink after drink after drink throughout their whole pool game, their game of pool. And once they were finished, he offers her a ride home. She accepts it, but in his car, he's like, can we take the long way, the scenic route? There's a couple of songs that I want you to listen to, and I want to show you some property nearby.
You creep.
She didn't really want to, but she couldn't control him. He just starts driving down the back road. He stops the car, and without even hesitating, he begins choking and punching the woman. She starts losing consciousness. He drags her out of the car. When she woke up, she was naked. Her clothes were scattered in a field. Dennis told her not to move. He ran back to his car, came back with a knife, put the knife to her neck, and raped her, assaulted her. Which, side note, his MO is so similar to the attack on Jennifer in 1990, it's hard to imagine that this was his second time. I suspect that there were other victims, and the fact that this victim said that he never hesitated, whereas with Jennifer it seemed like he was hesitating, is that him getting more and more comfortable with his crimes the more he commits them? Fortunately, he did not slit this woman's throat. She was able to flee and alert the police. He was arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder. Now, for some strange reason, the charges were later reduced to kidnapping and rape. Now,
What?
this is infuriating, but the jury, they were deadlocked on the sexual assault charge. How do you get deadlocked on that? How are you deadlocked when this man put his knife to her throat and then assaulted her? Like, how do you convict him of kidnapping, but then you're somehow confused? You're like, well, we don't know if he's that bad. I mean, what is there to be confused about? He was sentenced to 12 years and ordered to provide a DNA sample for the database. Arkansas correction records showed that he served less than 3 years in prison before he was released.
What?
He was paroled February of 2000. He was arrested the next year for drinking and driving. And in 2004, Dennis remarried a woman named Elizabeth. She had 3 children before marrying Dennis, and he legally adopted them, legally becoming their stepfather. Which scares me because, I mean, think about it. He's a father and a stepfather. Creepy. Now, from then on, we don't know what he was doing. We don't know if he had any other victims, but we do know that he was in North Little Rock when he was arrested during a routine traffic stop without incident. He was arrested by the Arkansas police, brought into the station where the Texas detectives were there to meet him. He was held without bail on the attempted murder charge. When Jennifer got that call that he was arrested, she said, "It was the most surreal moment of my life. It meant everything to me." When she went to the press conference a little bit after the initial arrest, she remembers how Detective Gromy and Agent Renison from the FBI came into the room and hugged me, and they whispered in my ear, "We told you we'd get him." And at that time, that was the single most amazing moment of my life. But they still had work to do. Even though the case testimony and evidence is already incredibly accurate, Detective Gromy still had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Dennis was responsible for the attack. And since 19 years had passed, it's going to be harder to do. So after Dennis was booked, he was interviewed about Jennifer's case from 19 years ago. Now, side note, because Jennifer was a minor when this happened and it was an ongoing investigation, the information in case files were not publicized.
Okay.
So that means the last time Dennis saw Jennifer was when he dumped her body in the field 19 years ago. He believed wholeheartedly that she was dead because that was his intention. He left her for dead on top of an ant pile. He firmly believed he killed that 8-year-old little girl. He had no reason to believe otherwise. The detectives start by asking him if he had ever heard of Jennifer Schuett. Yes. He stated that he remembered hearing in the community talking about, a girl that was left in the field, and he prayed for her. Did you ever have occasion to come in contact with her? Yes. Tell me about it. No. You don't want to talk about it? No. Is there a reason why? You did your homework. You're right, Dennis. We did do our homework.
What?
And if you're remorseful about this, people need to hear that. There's two sides to every story. Dennis
He said you did your homework. Oh my goodness, man. This guy's an asshole, man. For real. I don't care, bro. Oh my goodness.
starts to tear up before saying, "Not a single day goes by where I don't see that baby." There is no other side to the story. She was innocent, and I was a sick, deranged, beat-up little fucking punk. She wasn't anybody I met. I don't remember why I pulled up to those apartments. Huh. Well, I think if you were to see her, I think you would be extremely proud. I really do. Dennis breaks down sobbing and says, "She's alive? She's alive?" Yes, she's alive, and let me tell you something right now. She's with us.
You ever heard the name Jennifer Schuett? Yes. Did you ever have occasion to come in contact with her? Yes. Tell me about that. No. My whole life for the past 20 years has been utterly and completely because of my mistake. If you were to see her, I think you would be extremely...
That is not a mistake. Your life is not effed up because of a mistake. One, there is nothing like a mistake. You did that. You purposely did that. And why do I know that? Because 7 years later, you were convicted of trying to R-word and unalive somebody if she hadn't escaped. You are a piece of rat's turd. You are the mistake this world ever saw. Your birth was a mistake. You growing up was a mistake. You sitting in the interrogation room without not being in a coffin is a mistake. You are the big mistake. Your life was not a mistake. The word life associated with you is a mistake. That is the mistake. You understand that, idiot? You understand that, you piece of rat's freaking turd? You are the mistake. The world seeing your face is a mistake.
I really do. Oh, thank you. She's alive. Yes, she's alive. She's alive. She's alive. Let me tell you, she is incredibly Well, you have no idea how hard I have prayed for that. I'm a firm believer of Christ.
Shame on you, you piece of shit. You're not a believer of anything. You're a believer that you could get away with your with the evil you do, and that has not happened. That's why you're crying. You're trying to change this narrative like you're a believer in Christ, and all of a sudden you a stupid idiot. You drove drunk. You are a menace to society. You just need to go. You just need to exit this world so we can feel a tad bit safer. Get out of it. Get out of it. That is how all these can be rectified. Get out of this world, you piece of shit.
But I had no idea, because it wasn't about 2 days later I ran, and I just took off.
Dennis explains he was randomly driving around that night and pulled into a random lot, and he stated, "I walked over to the window. I remember it was open and I could see in it and the light was on. And I just want this to be over. And I'm sick and tired of looking over my shoulder and being afraid, so forgive me, Mom." I pulled that little girl out of that window and I put her in my car. She was freaking out and I told her, "Please don't worry, it's all right." I told that little girl that I was a police officer, that everything was going to be okay, and I pulled off into this little road, and that little girl, she was so scared. I just lost it. I was like a savaged animal. I couldn't force myself to say it, and I can't force myself to say it right now. This has been haunting you your whole life, Dennis. Let's hear it. I took that little girl out there, and I raped her, and I cut her throat, and I don't know why, and I've never known why. Many, many times, I've just wanted to end it, but I never had the guts. He told the police officer that he used a shotgun to try and end his own life shortly after what he did to Jennifer, but he decided not to. He did, however, blow a hole through his parents' roof, and he was brought into the hospital after his attempt. The same hospital that Jennifer was in. The same hospital.
Yeah, you should have given me the shotgun. I don't know how old I was then, but telling me this story and giving me that shotgun you tried to attempt yourself with, oh, that would have gone so successful. That would have been so successful. We would all have seen you bye-bye out of this world, man. Next time you had tried that, you should have gotten me and told me this whole story, and I would have made sure that the government would have signed off on that, and I would put that shotgun to such a good use that your spirit and soul would also be unalived. You piece of fucking rat's turd.
Jennifer was recovering in. Jennifer had every right to be afraid of this guy because he was in the same hospital. But ultimately, Dennis confirms all the details that she remembered, and he confesses to it all. And Jennifer was so relieved. At the press conference, she declared, "I'm not a victim. I'm victorious."
Yes.
Jennifer had waited 19 years for this, and now she focused all of her attention on prepping for this trial. Dennis admits to the crime. He matched the description, he matched the DNA, and they were planning to go for a life sentence. She had routinely went to the field that she had been abandoned in, not constantly, but several times. She would visit so that she said, "I just really wanted to be able to remember all the details of the attack, so that one day, if I ever could, I could go to court and tell my story the way it was."
Wow.
Now, he was supposed to appear in front of the judge on August 10th. Jennifer had picked the date. Exactly 20 years of the day of the attack.
Wow.
She said it was a full circle moment. She stayed up countless nights prepping for her statement. She said writing it, erasing it, writing it, erasing it, just trying to perfect it. She had 19 years of things she wanted to say, but she wouldn't be able to do it. Or at least not the way she imagined. She gets a call from Detective Cromie, and her heart dropped. She already knew. Dennis had hanged himself in his jail cell after confessing. He made a new...
You stupid coward. You stupid coward. Now you believe this piece of shit tried to unalive himself? You see how stupid it is? You see how easy it was for him to get out of this world? Meanwhile, I wished he had faced justice, but he got out of this world pretty easy, isn't it? He lied to detectives that, oh, for 20 years I tried to, but I couldn't. I took a shotgun and I couldn't. And all of a sudden you're set for trial, and then you are able to magically find how to unalive yourself. Something we were waiting for a long time. Please don't bury that idiot. Give his corpse to the vultures because they're hungry. This is a piece of shit guy. Stupid, crap on his name. Do everything bad to him. He's stupid. He's extremely stupid. Nothing to his family, though. They probably don't know what a monster he is, but him. Get him out of here. Throw his body somewhere.
From his bedding, and there was no signs of foul play. It was definitely suicide. So he died, 40 years old, May 10th, 2010. It's believed that Dennis was a serial...
On my birthday? Whoa! He unalived himself exactly on my birthday. That was 1 month to the trial. No, wait, May, June, July, August. So that was exactly 3 months to the trial. Exactly on my birthday? Man, this guy, I'm going to clown you every time on my birthday. You an idiot. Oh, thank God.
Predator to children and adults. He knew that his life was over the minute he was caught. More of his crimes would likely surface. He knew the things that other inmates would do to him if he spent the rest of his life in prison.
Yes.
So instead of taking these consequences, facing the consequences, he took the, quote, easy way out.
On my birthday.
Cromie remembers this phone call. He said he'll never forget this phone call. He said, there was just crying and screaming on the other end of the phone. She didn't want to believe it. The only thing I could do was just tell her I was sorry. Jennifer said, the only thing I can describe is devastation. I felt like everything I had worked so hard for was just ripped away from me in an instant. And now that Dennis was deceased, his case was immediately dropped, and Jennifer felt like she could go to his grave. She had to. Exactly 20 years later, instead of going to court, Jennifer and her husband went to Dennis's grave, August 10th of 2010, and she read her impact statement that she had prepared for court, and she read it directly to Dennis while standing over his dead body. She read, "Dennis Bradford, I waited 19 years, 2 months, and 3 days to find out your last name, and for you to be caught. You chose the wrong little 45-pound 8-year-old girl to try and murder because for 19 years, I've thought about you every single day, and I've helped searching for you. I didn't know who you were or where you were, but in my head, I knew you were out there alive, either in prison or living a lie, and now I know listening to my heart all these years and never giving up on finding you, I was right. All this time, you've been living a lie. You thought you killed me, you thought you won, that sick little game that you had started, but again, you were wrong. You left me there in a fire ant pile like I was nothing, like I was an old rag doll that you discarded in a field as trash after having your fun torturing her. Over 14 hours I laid there in that field bleeding to death, knowing that one day I'd face you. And to know that you'd never hurt another person, that is what has kept me going. And today I sit in front of you as a 28-year-old woman, and I would like you to know that I'm not a victim because of what happened 20 years ago. I've waited for this day for 20 years of my life, and I hope you now feel as weak as you made me feel all those years ago as a child. Dennis Bradford, I'm not your victim. I'm victorious." And then the most surreal thing happened. Jennifer turned to her husband and asked, "Do you think he heard me?" Ow! She looked down, and right then and there,
Stop.
a single fire ant bit her ankle. And she took it as a sign from God that he had heard her loud and clear. And to this day, Jennifer, Detective Cromie, and Special Agent Renison, as well as Nurse Sharon, they all keep in contact. Jennifer said, "They mean a lot to me, and to know that they're still there, they're still supporting me, they're not leaving me anytime soon, just like I'm not leaving them anytime soon." But the story doesn't even end there.
Whoa.
Remember how Jennifer was diagnosed with a condition that made it nearly impossible for her to have her own children?
Yeah.
A doctor heard about
No.
her story and heard of her diagnosis, offered Jennifer and Jonathan free IVF. IVF is not guaranteed to work, side note, but just to try, right?
Please
The
work.
couple have since then welcomed 2 beautiful children into their family, a
Yay!
daughter and a son, which is remarkable because medical professionals doubted that she would survive.
Wow.
It would take a miracle, they said. Medical
Yes!
professionals doubted that she would ever talk again. It would take a miracle, they said. Medical
Jennifer, you are a walking miracle, period. You are a miracle. I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. It's fine if I am not your friend, but you're a miracle. You are a miracle. Please, you're a miracle. This is amazing. You couldn't talk again. You talked. You wouldn't live. You lived. Oh, you can't have kids? Oh, you're sure about that? There's something called IVF, International Verified. I don't even know what that means, but you have your own kids now. Oh, Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer. You are a miracle. You're a miracle. Rest in piss, Dennis. Rest in piss. Rest in my piss. Rest in pee. Dennis, you stupid, you idiot. You thought you were going to kill, man, you could not touch her. Walk-in miracle, Jennifer. Jennifer Schuett. Man, I'm going to put Schuett in my name.
professionals doubted that she could ever conceive her own children. It would take a miracle, they said. And she did it all. And I'm going to cry.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, she really is a woman that proved the impossible
It's
is
possible.
And nowadays, she spends a lot of her time helping other survivors of SA. She travels to connect with people and to educate people on the pure devastation of these sort of violent crimes. And that is the story of Jennifer Schuett. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, it's devastating. It's so sad, but the fact that she's so strong and we can all smile at the end is something, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for the main episode. Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.
For sure. Jennifer Schuett. Hey, you are a walking, living, breathing miracle. You are a miracle. And thank God for your life. Now, rest in peace. Rest in smelling piss. Dennis, whatever your stupid last name is. I hope you're rolling around in your grave with those ants biting you. Well, it don't mean anything anyway. Your rotten cop stinks anyway. I don't give a shit. You're stupid. That your legacy is stupid. You're a mistake to society, and you corrected that mistake by exiting it, which is good. Get out of it. Wow, what a story. What a story. Now, I hope this is a wake-up call to really take care of our safety, because that's all we have. Our safety, the safety of our loved ones. I am so touched by this story. Oh my goodness. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. How did it do you feel how I feel after listening to this story? Let me know in the comments. Please put it in the comments. I'll be happy to hear what you think. Join our Discord, link in the description. We're gonna have a watchathon. We're gonna have it regularly. Love you all so much. I'll catch you next time. Peace.
Tuned in, hit play, let's take a ride around the world with Steven, we worldwide. Stories so wild, they keep you hooked. Subscribe and share, come take a look. Reacting to the stories, the crazy, the real. With every new video, we bring the thrill. From mysteries to drama, we cover it all. Join the fam, let's have a ball. From dark tales to